Dead men share no tales. 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 Dead men share no tales.
Hi Park family, it's David. Okay, I wanted to answer a couple more questions today. And so this question has to do with hell on earth. And the question is, what is hell on earth? And the answer to that question is, hell on earth is a lot of different things. And in America, we were more or less born into a certain degree of hell on earth. And so that hell on earth has existed long before I was ever born. And it exists in the world in which I was born into, and it still exists. And part of our, spiritual and temporal development, kind of just by default, has some of that kind of inherently engineered into who we are and who we're becoming. And it's also interlaced with the American government and the way that the American government has things set up in America, and the hell on earth that exists is kind of inescapable and unavoidable. And so because it exists, I don't necessarily, as far as David's Park is concerned and David's Park family and friends, we're not able to completely fix hell on earth. We kind of have to learn to just deal with hell on earth. But we do reverence the fact that hell on earth exists, and we reverence it and love it to such a degree that in our park, our goal is to make a little bit of heaven out of the hell on earth that already exists. And so we're going to kind of mold and shape and engineer, David's Park into a little bit of heaven in the hell on earth. And so that hell on earth, it'll always be here. And so I suppose the way that we learn to deal with hell on earth is we should improve our warfare with the devil and the devil's family of devils and evil and wickedness to the degree that we can make hell on earth a little bit more heaven-like versus just having utterly and entirely, unrighteous and wicked hell on earth, which the Messiah wouldn't approve of that. And the devil would only smile at that. And so, anyhow, I just wanted to get those thoughts on record as far as what is hell on earth, and we can delve into that much more as we develop David's Park. But I just wanted to get that on record, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye. Hi, Park family, it's David. Okay, the second question today has to do with our dead. And the question is, why do David's Park family and friends, and David's Park reverence the dead so much? And we reverence the dead almost like we reverence our Heavenly Father. And so we reverence and love the dead that much that we kind of just create a place in David's Park so that we can begin to kind of commune with them and bring them into the park and get to know them. And so, we might have skulls and, caskets or coffins and, willow trees and tombstones and ghosts and ghouls and haunts and devils and all sorts of different characters that we bring into the park that can either spiritually or temporally represent the children of the Messiah or the children of the devil. And so so us bringing all of these things into David's Park is kind of like an outward expression of our inward devotion to God and our inward, sense of worship for Him. And so in the park, we kind of bring all of these different things into the park to help us kind of express our love and reverence for our dead. And, our love and reverence for our dead doesn't necessarily remove all of the humor and the fun and games and the haunts and the spooks and the thrills and the rides and adventures that we get to enjoy with our dead. But we need to recognize some facts and some eternal truths of life, which are that in our park, we're dead. And so we kind of have to take on that mantle and that yoke upon ourselves. And then we need to develop it and refine it and perfect it in our day-to-day work that we do in David's Park. And so anyhow, just wanted to get those thoughts on record as far as the dead are concerned. The more we contemplate on our dead, and the more we reverence them in our hearts and in our thoughts and in our day-to-day operations in David's Park, the more they reveal themselves, and the more they manifest themselves to you through spiritual impressions. Like some people will perhaps listen to this recording and think it kind of sounds perhaps a little bit silly. I don't look at the dead as silly, or I don't look at communing with the dead as being something silly. I kind of enjoy it. Sometimes it's kind of haunting, sometimes it's kind of fun, it's almost always eerie, but it's part of life, and it's part of death. And so anyhow, I just want to get that on record, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye. Hi, Park family. I wanted to return to one more question in regards to what is hell on earth. And hell on earth, I wanted to kind of sum it up this way. Hell on earth is real. Hell on earth is matter of fact. Hell on earth never goes away. And so because of those facts and because of those realities, the things that we do in David's Park are to help us to learn to deal with the inexpressible heights and depths of hell on earth, and to also continue to war what I call perfectly wonderful warfare with the devil and the devil's family of devils and evil and wickedness in all of its heights and depths. And some of these things are so utterly and entirely inexpressible and so deep and so hard to explain or to put into words sometimes. That's why I decided I'd like to do the David's Park, because some of these things need to begin to be put into language, so that if we ever need to murder the devil in our self-defense, we can murder the devil. If we ever need to kill the devil, we can kill the devil. If we ever need to curse and cuss and spit and our fire and vengeance and hatred for the devil, we can do so in David's Park, and we can begin to create the warfare for that. I've always kind of been bound by other doctrines that have existed in America that haven't necessarily been what I would call David's doctrines, but are doctrines nonetheless that exist in America, like Paul's doctrine, and Disney doctrine, and Magic Mountain doctrine, and Knott's Berry Farm doctrine, and just about any other doctrine you can name, with exception to David's doctrine. And so my doctrine is unique, and the science that we use in David's Park is unique. It's Israel. I would call it Israel and Eryn's. It's a mixture of both of those types of sciences in our park, and we do all sorts of different things for fun and play, and for our warfare. And so I just want to get those additional thoughts on record about hell on earth. And so our goal with our hell on earth is to make it a little bit of heaven on earth. It's our hell on earth in our park is unique to the Kuhns. It's unique to David. It's unique to David's Park family and friends. It's unique in its tradition and in our faith and in our culture. And so, yeah, I just wanted to get those thoughts on record, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye.